And we are live. Happy 30th episode, guys.
Wow,
Wow,
this
it's the
30th?
30th anniversary
Amazing.
Not anniversary, but episode. I guess, yeah, 30th
episode?
episode.
30th Mentiversary.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
at least 30 weeks we've been doing this, yes.
that's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, 30 week anniversary. I feel like I deserve a lingerie or something. But
Seriously, I mean that's at least that's over, 6 months. That's a lot.
that's a long commitment. We got spicy and
That is a
cooking.
commitment. Yes, that's spicy.
Well,
And
how
you're
you
here to
doing?
celebrate with us on our 30th anniversary.
Even
so
more
thank you.
spicy. I don't know.
yes, we got the great real blonde broker and the not so
Thank you.
great Matt Speed. And we also have the Tesla tracker lurking there somewhere in the background. I think I heard that he's like deaf or something, but anyway.
And Heidi's going to be here too. She's running a little late, maybe, but maybe that's because she's getting that lingerie you're asking for.
for me to wear anyway.
I'm just happy I'm here to speak for myself.
So let's dive into it. It's getting a little bit weird. Let's talk serious here. So I think we're gonna start the show this way. I'm gonna just talk for a few minutes. I'm gonna pass the baton to Matt because he's quick and he's gonna want to talk about.
Wait, Heidi arrived first.
Ooh, Heidi! Hey, say hi to everybody.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Fashionably late,
Sorry.
yes.
Sorry, I'm fashionably late.
yeah. I was just talking with the guys. Hopefully people can recognize two different female voices and they can tell one each other apart.
Sounds very different.
I think so too, but yeah, but yes, we're gonna flow this way. The way we're gonna do it, I'm gonna just talk for a few minutes about Tracker's favorite chart, which really is more like fan service for him because he's really hot for it. So I'm gonna talk about that.
I requested this especially because I've been teasing that this show we would kick off 2025 with why we've been so bullish on this year that we're now getting into. And it used to be, I'd be like, oh, IWM, it sucks. The Russell Index is where stocks go to die. The small caps start there, but as soon as they like graduate and move on to the SPY, they leave all the rest of the small caps behind, and the whole thing just gets dragged down again. And that was my argument. 7 months ago when we first talked about this? I think in like the third episode ever that we've done. And so I asked Kat to bring back this chart. It is the RUT small caps divided by the SPX. Did you guys know you could do that in TradingView? You can take two tickers and divide one by the other to create a brand new chart. And with that said, go Cat go.
We're gonna talk about a whole couple of decades, and then we're gonna let the blonde broker talk about like 1 minute charts. So, without further ado, just real quick.
Hey, I have macro charts too.
we will go back to you about macro. Sometimes I look at a 5-second chart too. I mean, that's I'm terrible at it. But to zoom out here for a second, this is what I think this is when Tracker fell in love with me. But I don't know why. But the whole idea is this. This is the Russell 2000 over the S&P 500, right? So small cap over large caps. The whole idea is this. During the dot-com bubble, when everybody's really like tech heavy, you got like things like Cisco or whatever, just kind of going like parabolic. People are really kind of ignoring the small caps during that period of time. And what was happening was that there's a huge underperformance of the Russell 2000, which is the small cap index, compared to S&P 500, which is really the largest 100 stocks. And you see this big giant plummeting during the dot-com bubble until it bursted. And actually, the interesting thing is during this time, the small caps actually were relatively protected. There's like a huge rotation of money from large caps over to small caps. And they started shifting money from like these crazy dot-com bubble with the huge valuation expansion to things like financials, things like oil, whatnot. And they kept on building that bubble in the small caps. And you can see the Russell 2000 actually has outperformed the S&P 500 for about a whole decade and a half. Right. As you can see that the ratio as this Russell 2000 over SPY ratio increases, you can see the small cap is outperforming S&P 500. all the way up until the trend gets exhausted. And you can see this exhaustion happen for about 5 years or so. When you have this ratio continues to go up and you have the RSI continue to go down, meaning that wherever primary trend is happening right now is causing some exhaustion there, and it's been happening for exhausted for about 5 years. After that, everybody that is in the stock market has a lot of recency bias. They think that large cap is going to always outperform small cap, because that's the case really ever since 2011. And that has been the case for really about 13 years. And as you can see, that this whole downtrend, a lot of people just really kind of dogging on IWM, dogging on Russell 2000, dogging on small caps. You don't make money on small caps. Small caps crap is speculative. They're like debt ridden. They're not good stocks to be in. And yeah, just buy all this stuff. It also doesn't help that like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, everybody like Apple, they run the world. So basically, throughout the entire decade and a half, you have relative outperformance of large caps over small cap, up to the point when this trend is starting to get exhausted here. Really started around COVID. You start to see a little bit of this trend exhaustion. And that's been going on for about 5 years, where you're developing a bullish divergence, where small caps may be starting to build a little bit more momentum against large caps. I wonder whether or not this is getting close to potentially reversing, where large cap is going to do better. Sorry, small cap is going to do better moving forward. If that's the case, that actually would be relatively bullish for the overall market, because small cap is actually a little bit more speculative, and that's actually going to foster a little bit more risk-taking behavior, things like that. Just to talk about IWM chart here for another couple of minutes, I cannot be bearish on IWM right now, just based on the way that it's looking. It's trying to really break out and really trying to keep going. It's been forming higher highs and higher lows really ever since like a year and a half ago. And if you're looking at IWM, is extremely economically sensitive. I could put out the M2 liquidity index, but I don't want to take too long. All I'm going to say is just you get multiple cycles ever since the great financial crisis crash. Cycle number 1, 2, 3, 4, and we might be starting a little bit of a bull trend here that could last for a while. A lot of these indicators to kind of look at. First of all, if you just look at like the fib levels, if and Matt has really brought to my attention here too, where basically every single time during each cycle, you had the previous cycle high here with the cycle low, you do fib retracements, and you can see that, and this is log fibs, you can see that whenever it really breaks about the 0.786, it looks like it's probably getting ready to go. And I can show you some previous cycles in terms of what that is. We broke about the 0.786 right now, and actually I think let's see. Anyway, sorry, I'm just going to go real quick here to this.
No, you're doing great, Pat. You're doing great. Relax.
Yeah, I'm going to go. No, I gotta talk fast. That's my thing. Meow, meow, meow. Anyway, you can see that over the previous cycle, it broke the 0.786, and that's when it really started running, right? And we did that already. I think it's just consolidating sideways to try to get to us to that point. And during this cycle over here, same thing. Whenever it breaks about the 0.786, it just started running, right? I think we're getting to the point now. This cycle over here is not as apparent, but same thing. Once you break about the 0.786, you can see how it really tries to backtest it multiple times, and it goes, right? Even during the great financial crisis, it did the same thing. Because if you're talking about this peak over here to down here, once it breaks about the 0.786, it backtested here a little bit, and it just ran. I think we're having a very, very similar phenomenon right now that is going to be a little bit more risk on. And if IWM does well, a lot of your DGen stuff is probably going to do pretty well. It broke about the 0.786. It's just backtesting it. And it's just kind of gearing up to go. I think this big giant red candle here in December is probably just a little bit of liquidity grab. Anyway, I can keep showing, a lot of other indicators, Ichimoku, bullish cross, bullish cross, bullish cross, bullish cross. Usually once you have a bullish cross, it keeps on going for about 2 or 3 years. We had a bullish cross probably about like a year ago. I think it might have another year to go. If you're also looking at the Bollinger Bands too, you can see that these cycles are always full of these monthly Bollinger Band squeeze and expansion, squeeze and expansion. It squeezes whenever it wants to correct. It expands whenever it wants to go up, right? Squeeze when it wants to correct, expands when it wants to go up. Squeeze when it wants to correct, expands when it wants to go up. Right now, we're kind of a little bit of like an expansion phase. We are a little bit stalled right here this month, just simply because we kind of gone sideways here for about 5 months now. But I still think that with the 20-month moving average pointing up, kind of like how it was before during bull markets, I think this is probably still maybe like around the middle area of the bull cycle here. So probably still got some time to go. I'm gonna pass the baton to the great Matsby, because when you talk about cycles, I always like to kind of talk about Bitcoin too. And when we talk
Well,
about
I do have that Russell 2000 chart. If you guys
Oh,
remember
yeah.
from the inception of the RUT. So
I
before
remember.
Bitcoin, I just wanted to show that since we're talking about the rut.
Go for it.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Dude.
Where's me?
Mike,
There I am. Luckily, your face wasn't showing, Tracker. No,
oh.
just joking. But here we go. Since the inception of the rut, since the 87 crash, that's basically when it came out. We can see that this angle right here has been an amazing support and resistance angle. And yeah, we look at current day right here, and what is it doing? That red candle just back tested it that you were talking about, that monthly December red candle. And now we're basically still tracing it up as a support. And everything is kind of reminiscent to right here, how it back tested the blue level many times. I can zoom in a little bit. And now it's doing something similar where it back tested the green level many times or many months in a row. And now it's just tracing up this angle. So yeah, it looks like things are holding support perfectly. It's basically at support perfectly. And I think it has a real good opportunity to keep this momentum going and then eventually get to 54 Russell 2000, maybe in the next few years. So we'll see if that does come to fruition. But still, very bullish chart for even with all those back tests and stuff, because it has not broken into all-time highs yet. So it's just a matter of time.
I think a lot of people are confused as to why we start the show talking about IWM. I think the concept is if IWM goes flying, then a lot of your like speculative, what is considered to be crap, cafe with stocks, they're also going to fly. Yeah. So this is gearing up to. I'm seeing like, and you can see some early phenomenon here too. Like Fubo just popped like 200% in a day. There are some things that are happening that are transpiring that just seems too much of a to be a coincidence. So
yeah, I agree. And so with that transition, we can go into Bitcoin here. And what I like to do is just start out by showing this channel here that I created. Let me just make it more clean so people can see it. So essentially, this channel has been playing out pretty accurately throughout time, really, how every single line is basically a support and a resistance of that channel. And we can see that it is currently really trying to break above this channel right here where it was a resistance, and now it's trying to really flip it to a support. And you can see it's basically right on the line right now at 97,000. So if this channel does in fact hold us as support, it's going to gravitate towards the top of the channel here, and that's going to be maybe 140,000 for the nearer term. Or if it goes later in time, it could be the 150s, 160s, whatever. But I think what we could see is possibly even a retest of this channel up here, since it did it multiple cycles in a row, right? It retested this right here back in January 2017. It did it again, which basically suggests that April 21 was really the cycle top, and this was just a whatever, right? It was an all-time high, but it really wasn't a cycle top in terms of this channel. So we can see if it does get to that channel in the future, then we can see that, okay, that's maybe a 250,000 or later in time, or a $300,000 Bitcoin to that channel for the cycle top, because we can see every cycle top did get to that channel in the past years. So I'm thinking this has a really good shot of holding that support. I'm not too convinced with the bear case right now that it's going to go back down below 90,000 to the 80s or whatever and go below. I'm still not convinced of that, because the main reason is this chart right here, that this 1.414 Fibonacci extension from this high in 2021 in November, it never really even tried to go below it, right? Sure, it back tested it the first time it broke out back in November, but it has not back tested it since, and it had multiple opportunities to do so. So I'm not convinced, right? But what sits right above it now? Well, that's the conversion line 94,322. So if it does want to go lower, I think it might just want to do a very first back test of that 94,322. If it does want to go a little bit lower, I'm not really convinced it wants to go to the 80s. So if that's the case, then going back to this chart, I think we are basically in a support zone right now with potential to be support for the altcoins as well, which means that if we zoom in a little bit, I think we could just be building a base on top of this, getting ready to take the next leg higher. Similarly to what the Russell 2000 is doing with its angle that I just showed you too, building a base on that angle. This one's building a base on top of this channel.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that I mean, certainly there's a lot of interest in Bitcoin. I don't know if you want to talk about like altcoin cycles real quick as well, and then whether or not you would like to involve some of the other speakers here to chime in a little bit.
I would like RBB's take on Bitcoin right now. I'm
Let's
curious
do it.
about that.
Let's do it.
Hey.
Yeah.
You want me to show a chart?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get you. You gotta share your screen first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There-
just
there
your
we go.
chart.
This will do it.
Yeah, yep.
There we go.
Very beautiful.
Okay. I'll try to shrink that a little bit. Okay. So this is my Bitcoin chart. And what I think is happening is that this is our cup and we're making a handle. And you can see where it was caught right here by my Celts. The purple is weekly. The blue is 4 hours. It was caught by both of them. And now it's starting to climb. So I want to see it get back 98,000 as support and then continue up to possibly the gold bands and maybe make a new high around this 109, 110. I still think it's going to run with Trump. I still think inauguration, we start to see Bitcoin move. After that 110, I'm not quite sure because I am not as bullish as you guys are into this year. If you've read my 2025 thoughts, I see some potential drawdown in February to March time period that makes me a little nervous, a little skeptical into those couple of months into the Fed, into CPI, PPI. Just a few things in my charts that are giving me pause, but I am bullish into January and with Trump if we can pretty much hold today's lows and then start building here. So, maybe we could get another bearish day. I hope not, because I am pretty heavy into some calls, but I do have time on them. But that's kind of my thoughts, is that this is a Bitcoin handle. So, here's our big cup coming from this week. And then we get this handle and we start to break 98,500 area, then we're on our way back up. So I agree with Matt in, some bullish sense, would like to see, 110 or higher into Trump's inauguration. He is the Bitcoin president. So those are my thoughts on Bitcoin. But until, what people don't realize is that there are certain supports, and this is one of them at this 96,600 area. So until that really breaks down heavy, we won't drop to here. So, we have to break support to move down. And so people just sometimes traders randomly throw out these numbers, and I'm not sure where they're coming from because it won't happen until certain supports are lost, and this support is not lost. Now, if we start to break down, under 95,700 or something, then I'll get a little more worried that we're coming down to here. But right now, Support is holding. Looks pretty much, we had kind of a head and shoulders here and a breakdown. So I just want to see this hold and start to move up and out of this handle and to break this downward trend line on Bitcoin.
But
And
they
this
say,
is 1 hour chart.
but they say that 80K is coming though. No, I don't know.
Well, I said to buy between 82 and
Yeah.
92, or 88. 88 and 92 was
Yeah.
my latest. And so I bought some at 91, had a nice run up to that 103, 104. So like I said, I hope this is a handle. I just want to see this fly with Trump. And then there could be, like I said, knock on wood, some correction into February, March time period.
How bad do you think the correction is going to be?
I mean, I think we could see a 10% correction this year.
That's fair. Yeah.
I mean,
So-
10% is like a walk in the park, though, really, because
Yeah.
that happens.
Yeah.
That happens on a daily basis on some stocks.
yeah, it happened on the quantum stocks after
Yeah.
close today.
That's fair.
If you were
10%
late to
correction,
that
yeah.
trade, you got smacked today hard. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, time will tell, and I'm watching things really closely. But we keep trading in this range, and how I almost started to think of it today, and I need to put this to paper, but I was thinking of like when you go to a play or a dance recital and you have kind of the grand finale. I almost feel that's what we're seeing, where Apple hit 260 and that's kind of its grand finale, and Nvidia went and hit 154 today and it's kind of grand finale. Meta 635, that they're all kind of taking turns hitting these highs and then they drop, and it's kind of like coming into a finale. And this, by no means am I like the market's going to die, but I just kind of feel like it's kind of there. We're hitting our highs, we're saying our goodbyes for a little bit, and then you can buy us lower. So that's my hope. So, but right now I bought this dip and I want to see a push into inauguration, possibly into beginning of February.
I think somebody wanted to clarify with you.
That is on SPY, but
Yeah.
I believe everything will be
Yeah.
affected.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin stocks, everything will see a drop if this happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything does seem really at support after today anyway.
Yeah.
So it
No,
really
I
has.
have the Bitcoin chart up, but I'm talking
Yeah.
more SPY, the Mag 7s, just everything that's been running, everything that's led us into this push for, since 2019. We've been pushing for, 4 or 5 years now. So everything that has led us here, which is the Mag 7s, which is Bitcoin, which is everything, bullish. The banks brought us here. I mean, the banks have had incredible years. That's what we're going to see pull back. So that's my thought. I know I'm a little different than the rest of the panel, so you can just ignore me if you want. And I mean, I'll be watching for things to break down. I'm not going to just blindly start, wrecking myself on the market. But I kind of put some thoughts together for 2025 and mentioned this 5,800 to 6,100 range. So if we really start to break that 5,800 SPX, that is, the number one clue. Or if we can't get above 6,100 with some really definite power, then that's, both sides of that range make me cautious.
First of all, you never have to worry about being different. It's not right or wrong. It's how you carry yourself. It's how your logic is going through, and you're setting a case. You're delivering it. It's I can totally see that too. The only thing that I might have to say is there's always a possibility, kind of like how in 2020 where Nvidia just ran way far, way fast, and then it gets to like August 2020, and it did nothing for like months and months and months when everything else started flying up. with like
Yeah.
IWM and everything else. I can totally see the index maybe underperforming here a little bit too, when everything's kind of rotating through the outer stuff too. I can see that case. I can also see everything going down together. Like there's no absolutes here. So we would like to hear your thoughts. So thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I can pull up, this is my, let's see, sorry, that's not the right type here.
Another thing too is the whole market can go down and Tesla can also still go up. So that's also another possibility as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, here's my SPY chart. We're just stuck here, It's like down here, back up, down here, back up, So it's like, hopefully we get another bounce. But I mean, we just keep staying kind of in these blue bands. So we went from the top of them to the bottom of them today, traveled the whole 4-hour cycle in a day. And then that's where we bounced, was at the bottom. So now I think we probably at least go test this 592 area and then see what happens there, whether it turns into a right shoulder of a head and shoulder, or if we can bounce and start a whole new spike into the inauguration. So I'm watching for a lot of things.
While we have you here, is there any other thoughts you'd like? Would you like any of the panel to kind of chime in? You want to call on anybody?
I'm curious about your Nvidia thoughts after today's sell-off.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's look at Nvidia. So Nvidia, right, same place as the market went and hit the bottom of the blue Celt, which is right where SPY did. They bought it. They came in and bought it. I bought it. I bought 140 Nvidia today. Had to at least try. So you can see this was a beautiful Wyckoff. For anybody who follows Wyckoff, this was your spring. This was, your DSOS, and then it came up to your phase E, had just this beautiful finish, and then it went into distribution and came down. So now, we have to see if this 141.3 level holds, or if it, can get us a spike back up here. But I mean, this was a good time to try to at least buy shares or buy an option to test that 140, 139 area. Whether this is a new run to all-time highs, I don't know, because we hit all-time highs right here and double topped and came roaring down. I mean, look at that sell. So you don't know if these things are like, is this meant to scare us? But like I said, I dipped into this 140 on Nvidia, and now I want to see it hold support, which is 141.5, and then it needs 145. So it needs to start building a case to move. But this was textbook gorgeous Wyckoff accumulation. I had my my level 5 was at 155, I believe, and we hit 150, almost 154. So I missed the high by $1, but pretty much that's what I was expecting. So I don't know if this was just a wave 1, if you're an Elliot Wave person, and this was the wave 2 pullback, and now we're on our way up, for wave 3, 4, and 5. That's to be determined. I will just be closely watching to see if we can get back into some of these supports that are higher up. But beautiful, beautiful run on Nvidia, was in at 127, 128. So I loved it. Loved it.
The precision is absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think somebody was asking for. I guess we can circle back to Bitcoin proxy. Somebody asking for MicroStrategy.
Do you want me to go back to MicroStrategy, or do you want Heidi to chime in a minute on Nvidia?
That's
I know she
true.
has some thoughts. Why don't we go to
That's
Heidi
true.
for a
Why don't
minute,
we go to Heidi then?
and then you can circle back to me.
Assuming that she's there. Hello, you there? Hey.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Let's rotate to your charts, Heidi.
Yeah, can you see my
Yes.
screen?
Yes.
So this is Nvidia, and obviously, as Rebecca was saying that today was pretty bad. And it actually was the worst performing stock in the Dow today. And I had actually played this, I think around the same time as Bond Broker, and bought in, and I actually sold the vast majority yesterday. But I think that there's some interesting things here. First off, the obviously the huge bearish candle that we had today. We've only had that a few times with Nvidia, and after which has not been good statistically. Like back in March, you guys can see, I think it dropped somewhere in the range from this candle range here to here, which was like a 24% drop. So when these things have happened, it hasn't done well for Nvidia statistically in the past. But from what I was seeing today, I actually think this may just sort of be a little bit of a trick. We did get to all-time highs and outside the Bollinger Bands, but we see we have this inverse head and shoulders right here. And I had price targets myself of 157 all the way to 230. For this, we have like a falling wedge pattern. And obviously it's Nvidia, it's CES, just started today, and it seemed to be sell the news. But I really think it recovers. I actually got in today as well with a credit spread for June. So I think it recovers. I think this is a good spot. If not, we're probably targeting something like the 50 EMA, which would put us in the range of 136. Yeah, about 136. So, but I don't think it's all bad news. We also had Trump today say that he is planning on investing over $20 billion in data centers, which also brings up AMD. I'm not sure if you guys want to go into AMD right now or
we
go
do.
back to MSTR.
We want to
Okay.
do what you want to do, Heidi. You're in charge here. You're the semiconductor person.
I'm the semiconductor gal. Okay. So yeah, Trump announced $20 billion projected budget into data centers. And interestingly enough, we saw, and let me share this. We actually saw AMD. Hopefully you guys are seeing AMD now. Actually hold its ground today, which is really unusual, obviously, for AMD. But interesting, they also, in the first time in its history, actually, the last quarter, they beat out Intel in data center revenue. So that was interesting to me. I've been sort of screaming for a while now to everyone that I think AMD is going to revive in 2025. I think it's going to be its year to finally sort of hold some water instead of trading like the dog it is. So I really like AMD. I think the return on risk is super good. But obviously for me, Nvidia is also, the king, and I'm interested in playing both. Yeah, so I have some resistance levels here. Support, which we were just right at. I didn't really think we would fall to 120. We did. I made a post about it because it was really annoying. But we seem to be recovering here. And as you guys can see, let me see if I can blow this up. We're sort of breaking out of this wedge. We had some bull fake outs here, and we've also had some bear fake outs. But for me, this is sort of a high tight flag pattern, and it should easily resolve to something in the range of 220. So that's kind of my projection for AMD. But I think it's going to take some time. I don't think it's one of these things that's going to be a momentum play where it just plays out tomorrow. I think AMD has some recovery to do with this chart. But I really like this wedge, and I really like this wedge within a wedge here. I would expect resistance for AMD around 144, or major resistance around 144. Obviously, we've got to break out confidently out of this huge wedge first.
how do you see AMD compared to Nvidia, both short term and long term, into 2025? You know, we've seen two charts, and they're kind of doing something similar but different. You know, AMD has just been a huge dog in 2024, building a big giant consolidation wedge here. Um, Whereas Nvidia is just kind of going sideways and going up a little bit. You know, so I don't know. Like, what do you think? How do you compare the two?
I mean, for me, the return, if we're talking about just pure return, I think there's more upside probably with AMD because it has been such a dog, and we are seeing data center revenue increase quite a bit. AMD also, just from a fundamental perspective, their AI is quite a bit different than what obviously NVIDIA is using, or at least their high-end AI, their H100s, etc. So I think that there's more reward there with AMD than with NVIDIA, but I think NVIDIA is a growth chart. I still think we have a growth year. I think people think that it's played out. I think that's wrong. That's just my thoughts. Blackwell, Rubin, the latest chipset that Jensen announced, Rubin, is just massively faster. They're already waitlist, 2-year waitlist for Rubin. So they're sold out already. And so I think both of them are great plays for different reasons. I think NVIDIA obviously is the king, and I think that no one is in a position to take that title, certainly. But I think that there's room in that space for AMD. But I do also see a lot more competition with AMD chipsets than with NVIDIA. So that's more fundamentals. As far as the charts go, like I said, I like this high tight flag here in AMD. I'll switch back to NVIDIA. Um, and I do really, really like this inverse head and shoulders. I despise this black Mariposa candle from today, obviously.
Yeah,
But I think it really recovers. And for me, one of the things I look at is generally I'm more interested in where a stock ends up on the weekly than I am on the daily. So for me, the weekly is more important. If we're still looking at this huge distribution sell-off in NVIDIA, that's going to be really, really bad. It'll take a while to recover the chart, but all in all, there's nothing on this chart that I dislike. I love the fundamentals, and I really like this inverse head and shoulders pattern that I'm seeing.
yeah. I know. Matt also probably sees the conversion line on the weekly too for Nvidia.
Yes.
Do you
I
want to talk
know.
about that, Matt?
But it missed it by 1 penny, though. I mean, 1 penny, Kat.
1 penny, is that on CAN?
No, it was the conversion line, the Tenkan of
Oh,
the
okay.
Ichimoku.
Okay,
It was
Ichimoku. Okay.
140.00, and it missed it by 1 penny.
I know you were looking at it. I know. I just know.
I was watching it all day. I'm like, come on.
You could do it. You could do it. Well, an interesting note on NVIDIA, if we're still showing my chart, was really interesting. And I was actually having this discussion with a friend of mine earlier today. I'm going to back out here and show you guys. Um, a lot of people realize I use stochastic as my oscillator. Stow actually went up today in NVIDIA.
Interesting.
So the daily Stow, it lost 6.4%. But it gained on stochastic. Now,
Interesting.
if you understand stochastic, it averages out whatever time frame you're looking at. It averages out, um, depending on what your settings are, what the highest highs are and the lowest lows. Okay, so on a daily, it's averaging out the highest highs and the lowest lows. And as you can see, we've had this sort of round robin. We kind of hit this area December 19th, which is when I had bought in and kind of put out my bull thesis for NVIDIA. But it's very interesting to me that we actually made a higher high here on stochastic today with a 6.5% drawdown. So I don't think this is done. I really don't. What we typically see is these wave patterns in these oscillators. You can sort of see we come down to this bottom, we kind of stay down here a little bit, towards the beginning of August, and then you're going to get this spike, and we get to this level over here, which is some people consider oversold. Doesn't have to mean that. Obviously, you can see here we stayed at that level quite a bit for a long time, but it then came down. And then we did this beautiful wave pattern here. So this third mountain, so to speak, and now we're creating this fourth one. And it's very interesting to me that on the daily, it created a higher high, which obviously is bullish divergence from what we were seeing in the price action. This is obviously in the price action, not a good thing. And so, yeah, so we have this huge divergence on the oscillator for the daily. So I don't think we're done yet with Nvidia.
Yeah, I'm not much of a stow bro, but I do agree with you. That is pretty good.
Yeah, it was interesting to me as well. For
Yeah,
the
that's
worst
good.
performing stock on the Dow Jones, made
No,
a
but,
higher high. Yeah.
That's a good observation, though. I love it. I love it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to kind of while we were talking about the Ichimoku, if we want to just switch to me real quick. I'm sure you saw the same thing. This is the daily chart here, Ichimoku. The baseline basically is like almost perfect support here. Like the red line over here is almost like perfect support. And what I was talking about with Matt is if you switch to the weekly, with Ichimoku, you have these lines over here, right? You have the conversion of the baseline. They basically just calculate by like moving period averages. And I think what Matt was staring at all day was like what it was doing right here.
Yeah, and that number lines
Mhm.
up exactly with what RBB was saying too. Like
Yeah.
the 140, it basically is the same number, and it looks like a breakout back test to me. That's what it looks like. So.
Yeah, that's
140,
exactly what I was thinking. 141. I wanted to see a back test of 141.
Yeah, so it pushes through and then it back tests the baseline here on the daily. It looks like a big giant Marubazu candle, which is absolutely bearish on high volume. So technically, like traditional TA, then you would favor next candle is going to be red. Doesn't have to be like super red, but usually it's like some bearish continuation. But this might be an exception. I can see that. So
Well, we'll know for sure tomorrow.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, by the end of the week, we'll have our determination whether or not we go with the statistical, percentages where it does draw down. On typically with these sort of candles, Nvidia draws down upwards of 25%.
Yeah. So I mean, I also agree with you just real quick. I think AMD, just based on looking at the volume here on like the monthly, you don't need any indicators. All you got to do is just look at volume. Like, what the heck is this? Like a downwards on declining volume for like entire year 2024. Big giant bull flag back testing the 0.618 here. If I can draw, I already did. Yeah, back testing the 0.618 here on declining volume. Like, what is this? It's kind of anyway, it's a very good setup. So thank you, Heidi, for sharing. Would you like to talk about anything else or call on anybody?
No, I'm good. Yeah, no, I think I said my piece, and I have a lot of it posted as well. I'll repost my Nvidia bull thesis because I don't think much has changed from the fundamental. The technicals obviously have, but I think we need to play the week out before we make a determination on that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing all of this. I'm going to go back to the blind broker because I know you probably want to go soon. And is it okay if you share with us 2 other charts? For example, let's circle back to Microstrategy. And then also you can talk a little bit about Tesla, and then we can pass on to the tracker afterwards. Is she already gone?
No, she might be on mute. She might have muted herself, but she's still there.
Yeah. Yeah, she's here.
Yeah, I think she has to unmute herself. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. I do that to myself all the time.
M from mute.
I saw her type in the private chat that she says I'm here, but gotta unmute yourself, RBB.
Is her screen shared right now?
Did.
Oh,
there we go.
Yeah.
It's not. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
We can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I must have a glitch like in my microphone wire. So I'm here. I'm here. I want to show you my AMD chart though, because I
Let's
am
do it.
so proud of this.
Let's do it.
I love it. I love it. So let's see here.
Woo.
Whoa, that's not my chart. Let's try
Matt's
that
getting
again.
you.
There we go. There it is. Okay. So this is like my alien invaders chart, and the symmetry was so beautiful
Love it.
on the 4 hour. So beautiful, where you have this left shoulder, you have the head, you have the two smaller shoulders, you have this matching shoulder. Like this, I mean, it's one of I know everybody was like crying over this chart, but to me, I was like nerding out because I was like, that thing is so beautiful and the symmetry is so beautiful. And you could count like wave 1 down, wave 2 up, wave 3 down, then it went into like a horrible wave 4, and then you have a 1 2 3 4 5 down for the last wave 5. It was beautiful, and I know a lot of people, like I said, were hating the stock, but from somebody who looks at patterns and studies symmetry, I just couldn't believe how beautiful this chart was, and it even kind of was replicating this over here, but on a larger scale. So it took almost the same algorithm and copied it over here, but it went down further. So that's my AMD chart. I love it. It's one I would probably frame and put on my wall. As far as short term, I bought around 119, which is around this gold band. I missed the 115. I wasn't paying attention to it that day. And it ran from the gold bottom to the gold top, was rejected, but it is holding this trend line now. And I like it as long as it holds 127. If it starts to lose 127, I'm out of this baby again. So I'm hoping that it can, continue to hold this trend line, get working up, but it really needs to start getting into this 133 where it was rejected in order to start having a life. But, it looks like we've got this nice cup coming and it's just testing the edge of the cup. So, kind of think of this as like a U as we're coming around. And if it can continue just to kind of hit against the cup, and I'll have to draw this in trading view. This is my toss application that I have open right now. But, if this starts to curve and continues to hold the cup, then we're going back up. So I really like AMD as long as we continue to hold 126, 127 area, treat this like a cup, get back 133 and start to, curve up here more. And then maybe at some point, we put a handle on it again and it becomes a cup and handle, but really like what it's looking like and how it's performing now. So that's AMD.
I hear Trekker just out there like screaming with excitement, but
Woo! Okay.
No, I
So
was thinking how lovely that fractal was in the earlier chart.
how what?
Now keep going, please.
This
How
one?
lovely that fractal was.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
It is
The left
so
one,
perfect. Yeah.
mirroring the greater
Yeah, right here. It recreated it. They're just look at them. Look at even the little peaks on it. Like it was just perfect. I loved it. Just took this, put it on a larger scale and came on down. So love that. Love that chart. So I'm going to talk about MSTR. Oh, go ahead, Tracker. What? Yeah, I am going to frame this one.
Oh, no, I was saying you should. Yeah, that's it. That's all I was going to say. Go on to MSTR, please.
Yeah, and then because I know you want to talk too, and you should have some time definitely. So MSTR, this thing is as crazy as SMCI and continues to be. So this was a double top at 548. Put that. It's got choppy in here and then big drop into the 300, 299. Bought that for a pop. And then my latest entrance was at this 285 to 290. When all was said and done, my average was about 290 because I started buying a little higher because I didn't know if we would get into the gap, but we did. Then played to this nice, pretty run up to the 380. I put this yesterday afternoon. I shorted it. I sold some of my shares. And then it came back down to this 335 area right here. And I want to see this hold, this 335. It could get a little it could touch down here into the 320, 319. I don't know. I'm hoping not, because there's a nice trend line right here as we go up. So I want to see this trend line hold now. And so I'm looking for, first off, 357, 358 is important, and then 367 above that. So I want to see some repair. I'm hoping that this 335 here was a wave 2. So think of this as, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 1. We came down in a wave 2 today. So hopefully that is the end of a wave 2 and we get some repair. It's also a nice head and shoulder. Here's the head right here at 284. Here's the left shoulder at 296. And then this is the right shoulder. Like I said, there is room to bounce and come back down even to continue that right shoulder, or this could be the low of the right shoulder. But I am looking at an inverse head and shoulder on MSTR, and for it to follow Bitcoin and for it to start to bounce into the Trump inauguration.
I think you're going to get your wish, because I think 96,000 is holding for Bitcoin. On the 4-hour chart, it came right to my moving average 75 and held. So
don't jinx it like what Cat did today, though. Don't do that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What did Cat do? What did he do? I missed it.
Yeah, I was just jinxing. I was just talking about stuff, and they dropped. That's what happens. It's tough because I mean I'm like at work and I'm off doing something and I come back. I was like, never mind.
Just kidding.
The
Just
intraday
kidding.
stuff. Anything can happen intraday anyway. So yeah, but tracker, don't jinx it.
Yeah, don't
Okay.
jinx us. But yeah, that's this is a nice little trend line. So fingers crossed 335 holds. If it comes down a little bit more, I won't panic because it's still viable as an inverse head and shoulder, but I wanted to start at least, I like to ladder into positions unless it's just, like when I saw this 285 over here, whatever money I had in my account, I bought it. Like it was like all of that was in. I was all in at this point because I was like, gap filled, that hit my target on my chart that I had since November 26th. This was my low. So I bought that no matter what. But watching this now to see if this is our support into the head and shoulder or if we, come down a little bit more. But either way, watching inverse head and shoulder setup on MSTR into Trump inauguration, because it should go with Bitcoin. It is, I want to make this point. I say it a lot in my room, but not online. What people need to realize is MSTR owns more Bitcoin than any of the Bitcoin proxies or names out there. It's not even comparable. Saylor has bought so much Bitcoin. So I call this the Bitcoin general. And like a good general, its troops follow it. So, Coin, Marathon, Riot, all of them, they follow MSTR. If MSTR is dropping, you may as well be putting the other tiers. I call this tier 1. Coin, Marathon are tier 2, and then you have like Hut, IREN, Wolf. All the other ones are like my tier 3. So this is the general, those are the soldiers. So if the general isn't healthy, the soldiers aren't either. So if MSTR can be healthy, it trickles down into all the Bitcoin proxies. So I hope that makes sense to you. MSTR should be your guide along with Bitcoin if you're playing these names. Every day you should be checking those two charts to check the health of Bitcoin, and then where is the general. So that is my top advice for people that are in Bitcoin.
Yeah, well said.
Thanks.
That's a fantastic score.
I mean, it's kind of like Nvidia, you know, like if Nvidia is healthy, so are all of the different components of Nvidia. You know, the people that make the fans, that make the boxes, that make, you know, their parts, that help make the chips, help make everything. The semis, you know, if Nvidia is running, then you see that in the other semis. So, you know, whenever these generals and leaders are down, you do not want to be in these sectors, or you want to be putting the sectors. But, you know, people kept buying, and you just kept seeing MSTR going down. And I'm like, do not buy until you see MSTR recover. And everybody was like, MSTR is a Ponzi, but then they would buy the other names. But I'm like, just go look who holds the most Bitcoin. And MSTR is like 90% more than the next person next to it.
Well, I would add to that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
That is true that MSTR owns more Bitcoin, but the actual yield per share is higher with Mara. So Mara has a 62.7% Bitcoin yield per share, meaning
Yeah,
that
that it's less.
their balance
Yeah.
sheet, yeah, their balance sheet, Mara's balance sheet is actually supported by 62.5, more than 62.5% of Bitcoin, which is much higher than
Yeah.
MSTR.
But can you see how those charts were the same? How it was
Yeah,
straight,
no, I mean,
how it
they
was straight
definitely, I
down
mean,
with
they borrowed the
MSTR,
playbook.
and then when MSTR bounced,
Yep,
it went with it. And then when it went
yep,
down,
yeah,
so but you're right. I mean, this is I really love Mara. Those are the three that I buy
yeah,
into,
I do too.
is MSTR
Yeah,
coin and Mara. Those are my 3 Bitcoins. But or that I play for
mhm.
Bitcoin. And you can see the inverse head and shoulder. Really nice symmetry here on Mara.
Yeah, it's
So
beautiful. Yeah, I love it.
get
Yeah.
MSTR, I call it Mister. That's that's.
I call it
Oh, do you
master,
call
so
it
that's
Master?
funny because I call it master all the time, and Bacon's like, what do you mean?" I'm like, "MSTR," but it's like the
And I
master.
was even playing like Mister, the broken wings the other day.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah,
Love that
yeah.
one.
so I'm like, come on, let's get a wing. Let's fly. Come on, baby. I think it was right here. I'm like, let's put a wing on this
We're
and go. So
it goes with your analogy of them being the general, right? They're the
yeah,
master
yeah.
as
So
well.
The dominatrix. Sure.
Yeah.
well, no, not dominatrix, but you know, the military. These are the generals. You got to follow the generals. So
Right.
I'm
Generals.
I'm not
Sorry.
going to step into that one.
She knows
When I
Somebody
hear like the word master 5 times, that's what I think about. Anyway, um,
so
Oh,
somebody is asking
okay.
me about my zones.
yeah.
These are I use Celts, kind of like Kat uses the clouds, Heidi uses the Bollinger Bands. I use Celts as time levels. So the gold is a daily. This is like the daily prices and memory of MSTR. So it bounced from the bottom one, and my hope is that it goes and retests this top one. So we all kind of have different methods that bring a lot of confluence, and that's why I love this group, because our analysis
Yeah.
are a little different and we all have a little different spin, but when we're on the same page, we really can love to see these stocks
Yeah, it
move.
adds a lot of
Mhm.
confidence. A lot of confidence for me is more like you guys are the mentors and I'm like the newbie. So when I see that my analysis matches up with yours, I'm like, yay.
Awesome.
It means something. Yeah.
Are those Kelts as in Keltner?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like
Keltner channels.
Keltner strategy.
yeah,
Mhm.
similar to Bollinger, but it's more stable. Like it's not. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been told to try to use them before. I just like the Bollinger Band. I think it's like personal preferences. If you're trading intraday, I think that gives you probably more precise levels than anything. But yeah, Bollinger Band's a little bit more weird sometimes.
Yeah, Bollingers can
Yeah.
kind of stretch and
Yeah.
move a little bit more, but kind of for those that are trying to look for something similar, then they're at least something. But yeah, we all just kind of use a little different. But I should let Tracker
Technique.
talk so that he has some time on this show, the 30th week.
They hear me every morning, Matt, and they get plenty of me every morning. So keep going if you've got more.
No, go ahead. That's all I've got on MSTR is I just want to see, we got to hold 355, 357. We need to really get above 368, 369, and then we can start to fill in this zone. So it'll probably, kind of chop up here, hopefully. But like I said, hoping this is a right shoulder for inverse head and shoulder. We can get moving.
All right. Well, if you guys are ready for some optimism here, some Tracker pie in the sky charts, throw me up here, Matt, and I'll start off with let's just go with Nvidia here.
Way to go, Matt. There you go. There you go.
It's me. Yes. By show my chart, I'm gonna show mine. No. Go ahead, Trevor.
All right, so Nvidia, I'm looking at Elliot Wave theory, obviously. So because I'm the Elliotician, and I took this bottom right here at October 17th of 2023, and I used this little pip right here from $97 back to $75.60. I really liked the way this wick looked, and then this sort of nope candle, sort of this deep red one, and then the big green one. These are weekly. So that made a nice 1-2. And then the extensions from there, I love to look for 764, 382. This one did 764 to $141.75, almost exactly. And then it went deeper than the 382, and I hated that at the time, but it went even below the 236, and it looked like it tried to make this look like a wave 5, and then we're going to get like an ABC that's going to take us way back down here. I'm sure you guys all remember that. But no, this was just a deeper 2. So this is wave 1, wave 2. This is wave 3 sub 1, wave 3 sub 2. This is the way I draw my charts for sort of a shortcut. And then, so the wave 3, we're still in it, and it's subdivided into sub 1, sub 2, sub 3, sub 4. And that's what we've had so far. We got a sub 1, sub 2. 3 is done, and now we're in this 4. You'll notice from the theory of alternation with Elliott wave theory, the wave 2 is very short, this sub wave 2 here. So this wave 4 is going to be longer, and that's what's happening. Is it's kind of taking a bit longer to go. But once it does, this fifth wave will finish out the larger degree wave 3, and that's been my target for quite a while now, since all the way down here, 182.63, and we're on our way up to it. I love when Kat talked about Matt and the getting over that 764 level, because that's what it kind of did. If you do that same little retrace from this high to this low, and once it got over, the 786. Once it got back over the 786 level, it seems like it really just wants to go and make a new higher high. But before it can do that, it's run back here and do this one more last liquidity grab before it runs higher. So I'm looking for Nvidia to make a new all-time high over 152.89, on up to 182.63. Then because this went 764, sorry, this one 618.382, then the 123.6 is the next larger degree fib that I'm looking for. So it's going to go to 123.6. Typically, this would come back down to the 764 after that. But because we already kind of got this higher 3, I'm just going to look for a 100% test back. So 162.19, and then on up to, oh my gosh, the wave 5 goes up to 269.22. I've got a couple notes here that it's possible that this wave 3 could extend higher to actually 195 instead of 182. And if it does that, it's still going to test back to 162.19. In fact, I guess if it goes to 182, it might dip just a little bit lower, but it really should hold that level, 162.19. The 100% fib extension off of the bottom really is a very important level. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the whole chart. And as I like to do in my morning show, if you want, you can take a screenshot of my chart right there. All my subscribers get these anyway. If this does extend to the 1382, then the 5th wave would probably extend to 281.86 as well. So that's my Elliotician's take on Nvidia, and you can see, it's the institutional, buyer's dream, right? Nothing but red candles all the way through the MCDX plus. This it's sort of the analog to Danny's red candle system that Cantonese Cat turned me on to when when retail is very low, like 10% or less, and here you can see it's 0, then that's very bullish. And anytime this is 50% or more in red and over 75% is super bullish. So that's Nvidia. And then AMD, here's my Elliotician's take on that as well. I like to look at this as a giant. So from the beginning of time, when a low of $1.61 to this 149.52 high that we had in November of 2021, down to this low in October of 2022, that's my 1-2. And so then my Fibonacci extensions off of that, I was looking for, now I'm looking at this actually. It's weird. Yeah, no, I have to do it this way. So normally I would look for like a 764, 382. This one it extended higher to over 100%, and then back to the 382. So I'm just going to let that slide. And I'm still looking for the 1382 next for 279.63 with a test back to the 100%, which kind of makes it a bit of a diagonal. That's a little weird. I wonder if it won't go a little higher or if I'm going to have to rebuild this chart and make it bigger. But let's just stick with what I'm showing you. And so after the 138 fib, it comes back to the 100% at $217. Then on to the 2382 up here at 442.48. So just to the wave 3 top from where we are right now is another 118% higher. And then from where we are right now, measured up to the wave 5 top, is 242% higher. And of course, if you're swing trading this through the wave 3 top to the wave 4 bottom, you're going to make a lot more than 118 or 242. But this is the way I look at it right now. And I even did the subwave here. And let me just hold it still if you guys want to take a screenshot of this. I'm looking for this ABC to just from this all-time high of 227.30 for AMD back to the low we just hit of 115.60, 382, 236, 618 to $184.63 forms a wave 1. Then the wave 2 pullback. I measured this. This is another 61.8% retrace back to the bottom side for this 382, about $158, 227, 203, and then 279. There you go. That's why I'm very bullish on AMD from here. Now, a theory of alternation again. 1, 2. They're kind of about the same look right now. So this could get delayed a little bit. This wave 2 could take off and then kind of start to fall over again. But don't freak out. If it falls over lower than, if it gets up to 184 and falls lower than 158, it just means it wants to delay the move a little bit farther out in time. But kind of the way I've got it tracking right now, yeah, maybe 279 before the end of the year, or maybe it just lines up with the end of 2025. And that is my AMD chart. Should I do Tesla?
I think
Wait,
so.
we got Tesla again.
Yeah, no, do Tesla.
Okay.
What-
This is my 4-hour chart on Tesla. This is what I was putting out this week, where it just looks like it's kind of stuck in this triangle. And oh, look at that. It went even a little bit lower here. I've got to move. I walked away from my computer this afternoon. Anyway, I won't bog you down this too much, but I think it's probably going to want to end the week somewhere around the weekly pivot, around 405. Kind of boring, honestly. But the exciting things to look at Tesla on the weekly chart, and I've been showing this chart all over the internet for the last couple of months. This prior section, where back in 2021 to 2022, we had this consolidation period, and it basically made this ABC quote unquote correction, but to like all-time highs. I guess not really an ABC. It's just like it's a wind up and a pitch, right? And then I'm looking for the same fractal to happen again that we spent 3 years building from 2022 now into 2025. Same thing, A, B, C, and I measured and just like Real Blonde Broker had that fractal that she just witnessed with her other chart. Was that AMD or was that
AMD.
Nvidia? I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
AMD. So, I measured these ratios. So with this A, B to this C was 195%. And so I just did the same thing from this A, B, 195% takes us to $700.77. And I think, just in the spirit of how things went really well in July last year, I think I'm aiming for another July high here. So $711 by July 18th this year.
Oh, no, Tracker.
Just
That's not meme enough.
I know, right? It's just a crazy run up. And look, we're already halfway there. We made it to 483, and now we're just doing like a jaggy back test. And once again, here's that. Let's see, when we have to pull this fib thing here again that Matt and Kat just turned me on to. Let's pull out to the side here. So once we get back over 463.95, it might do one last check back of liquidity, grab liquidity to maybe 444, and then run up again. And then, it'll go like 536, and then, look how this. Anyway, we just have to get through this little bit, and it might go really fast. I mean, it feels really slow right now, but I think it's gonna go really quickly once we get past $500. And we've got a nice January quarterly earnings report coming up, and and then robots and artificial intelligence and energy just growing by leaps and bounds, and robotaxi and autonomous driving and all that good stuff. And who knows what next they're going to unleash on us. Tesla is, like Elon himself has said, it's not one company. It's like many small cap companies, like just under one giant umbrella. And they've got all the brightest minds in the world working on all kinds of really crazy engineering problems, and they're solving them one step at a time. There's my Nvidia chart. I'm looking for 711. I think it's going to get by this July.
Are you holding a portion of TSLL and just holding, or are you still trading in and out on the move up?
I'm accumulating it again now. I kind of went, here's my MicroStrategy chart. I went big into MicroStrategy. I got MSTX really. I got really bullish on MicroStrategy and MSTX, and this is why. I'm a big believer in Saylor's proposition, and I think from the beginning of time, MicroStrategy. I don't have the low high turned on here, but to this all-time high, to this plunge we just had, that is a real blonde broker called it. She's like, I see as an elitician, this is just a big wave one and a big wave two, and this thing is just going to go absolutely bonkers. And you can see the numbers right here: 697 back to 491 to 1,030 to 824, on up to a wave five melt up into 1,569 for MicroStrategy. So when you look at the MSTX, well, I kind of took a lot of my Tesla money and I put it into MSTX. So here's your wave one, here's your wave two, and the 764,382. Actually, what did I do? I toned this down to 618. Oh, because this one, I made a note on the MSTX chart. This actually went to the 223.6 flavor. So it was like a 618, 236, 1236, 764, 223.6. And so I'm just repeating that fractal here. So 618 here is here for about $163.77, back to 83.61 for the 23.6 fib. Big deep runs. Wave 3, 293. Wave 4, 194. And then wave 5 tops out at the 223.6 fib extension at 503.29. So I think this is going to be, Bitcoin to $1 million. And all this can happen if Bitcoin just goes to $200,000, probably. Well, I don't know. Maybe this is 200,000. I'm not really sure yet. I didn't really quite work it out. This might be $200,000 right there. It's MSTX 500. And then the whole thing just like builds bigger. And this falls over, and that's the 1, that's the 2, and it gets crazy. And then you need a chart by the great Matsby to tell you where it's going after that, because my charts are I call mine I'm navigating by dead reckoning, where I just kind of like throw an anchor over the side, and I throw the knots out of the back of the ship, and it tells me how fast we're going, and I navigate by the stars and say, okay, we've gone this far in this direction. But Matsby he's got GPS with his Gantt charts. They're amazing. All right, Kat, what else do you want to see, or am I?
I want to know Heidi's Tesla take.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm
Totally
gonna
thought
throw
about
you on the
this.
spot. I really am curious though.
You put you on the spot.
You don't really talk. You don't have to if you don't want to. But I'm curious because you never really.
I haven't looked, I sold into strength because I tend to trade more than invest. I do have Tesla in my long-term account. Let me see here if I can share my screen. I mean, I'm a Tesla bull. I love Elon Musk. I have an IT background. I think he is an absolute genius. I think the car situation is just a small portion. So, from a fundamental standpoint, I think we're going to see the energy storage, obviously the self-driving and robots. I see those avenues of revenue streams being actually larger eventually than the car company. So from a fundamental standpoint, I am just beyond bullish for the long term. From a technical standpoint, let's see if I have any new information. I'm sure I have some charts posted at one time, but yeah, I think I mean, to me, it probably is gonna come back a little bit further, maybe test, um, what is this? 380? Yeah, around about 380, and then zoom on, get on with its business. So I'm not quite as exact with the levels like you guys are with your GAN spots and all of that. I just know, the pivot points and where I'd want to see, um, a back retest. So, I mean, it looks super bullish to me. Bollinger Bands are expanding. Yeah, I think all of this is just par for the course, and I'm not worried about it at
Well, we
all.
can't. You weren't sharing your screen, but we get the picture.
I was
Oh,
visualizing.
sorry.
I was visualizing in my
We're
head.
Sorry.
visualizing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I can share my screen. Sorry about that. I don't see. Uh,
For more private content.
Here are those monthly
Yeah.
Bollinger Bands on the linear scale that when Kat shows them, if you see this Bollinger Band like just go off into infinity in the bottom, that's when you know things are really strong.
Yeah.
And it's just starting to get that way.
yeah, I mean, this whole I mean, it's almost like this huge to be reversal since way back from like 21. This is the weekly chart. And so, this would have been, the midpoint. And so you would measure from the top here to the bottom, and I can do that. But I mean, this move should be rather big. So, I mean, you have this huge inverse head and shoulders as well that spans years. So I think when we confidently break this neckline, um, we're going to be off to the races. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think probably Tesla, if I had to guess, out of the Mag 7, is probably going to have the strongest growth comparatively, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
I agree.
There are period of time where Tesla just keeps going up when the whole stock market goes down. I wonder I wonder whether or not that
Mhm.
time's gonna come soon.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah,
saying, like,
I mean,
I think Tesla one day will be like, how people like flood to the utilities and when the market gets scary, they like run to. They used to go to like utilities and commodities or whatever, or not commodities, but just utilities. And Tesla will be that safe haven in the future. It'll be hilarious. Whereas once the meme stock will now be like, oh, I'm scared about the market. I'll just put my money back in Tesla.
Do you want to see? You want to see
yeah,
my
I
Tesla
agree.
chart?
Oh yes, we do.
Please.
I love it, Matt. I love it.
I want to see all your charts now.
Okay, so this is my Tesla chart in TradingView. Switched apps on you guys. So I have two things that could happen. It is repeating this same fractal over here, just like AMD did. You can see how it matches up. It's beautiful. So the 3 to 4 minor wave played out for the 3 to 4 major wave. So kind of poetic if you think about it. So we just got this pop up here and then came down today. So then I'm watching two things now. Does it continue to follow this structure over here of the 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5? If so, then this would be wave one. We would need to hold, 420, 415, and then push up in a harmonic to, I'm hoping like 480 to 500 would be my target of that harmonic. Or, and this is the other thing, is it could be the start of a new Wyckoff where, this is your drop for A, this is your AR, this is the start of your B zone, and then you get a drop down if it follows the Wyckoff. So I don't know if it's a new Wyckoff or if it's a new count of 1, 2, and then we start our wave 3, 4, 5 up into new highs into the inauguration. But regardless, I am bullish on Tesla into, this 427, 430 area first, and then I will be watching it to see if which way it decides to go, whether it follows this same algorithm and pushes up into a new Wyckoff that puts us likely at a higher high than here, or if it's a Wyckoff and it just needs more time and eventually Wyckoff's accumulation will continue up, but it will chew you up in the meantime. So that's the two things I'm watching on Tesla.
But either way, you're looking at like 420 first before any decisions made.
Yeah, pretty much looking at, right here is the golden pocket, which would be 426 to 431.7. So, somewhere around in that golden pocket, at least, is an A, B, C, I believe. So
you're
that's
saying
what I'm watching for.
you're long right now, is what you're saying, right?
Yes, I am long Tesla. So I have, I bought this dip right here. Bought that 377 just hand and fist, because I was like, I don't know if we see the 300s. I was disappointed that it went to 390. I wanted 394 to hold, and it did by close. I was red on Tesla because I wouldn't give up my calls today, which was stupid because I was putting MSTR. I put SPX like no other, but for some reason I wouldn't let go of my Tesla calls. So but they're, later in January, later in March. I love the June ones too. So I'm hoping that I get this recovery by the time those, that I have plenty of time for that to recover. But that's what I'm watching, is that 426 to 431 area on Tesla. And then whether that, just becomes like the wave one, and then maybe two pulls back to 420 to 415, and then we're gone. I would love it. I'd be thrilled about it. Or whether it is the start of a new Wyckoff, and then I would, buy it again down here. But for now, it should at least get an ABC back up. So fingers crossed, good data tomorrow, a bounce in the market. But you can see.
Yeah, that makes really good sense
But
too.
you can see,
once it's lost.
Pardon, Tracker?
Oh yeah, I can see.
Yeah,
that.
see how those look just
Once
alike?
It's lost. Yep.
So you're saying that
it just makes sense to me psychologically. Once we've lost the 414.50 all-time high as ultimate support, it's dipped down. It's got to get back over it and then test back to it and reestablish 414.50 as support again before it could go higher. That's all I wanted to say.
So you're saying that Tracker and Matt are going to get a bunch of hate going into the inauguration?
They could.
They're gonna.
Only from you, Kat. Are you sending hate
Well,
now?
about other things,
Don't send hate now, Kat.
I won't hate them, but sometimes Trackers, I want to see those numbers that he has. I just think they're going to be further down the road, but that's just me.
Yeah, my charts don't really predict timing.
Very different time frame.
I tell you where I think it's going to go next, price wise.
Yeah. But if
I have a question.
But if we get this, you can see that this was just kind of a little higher high over the double top. So if it repeats that pattern, then I would think this 497 to 500 is about where it's going before what I think is the drawdown in the market timing. So fingers crossed that Tesla can recover.
Yeah, I think you're right too. I think we can get another high here in going to inauguration, then it dips through the spring, and then it bottoms somewhere around April again, and we get another high in July. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, or even March. It might bottom by the Ides of March. That's usually kind of that really bearish, terrible week, kind of poetic towards Caesar. And, why not?
Macbeth.
And then just reverberates
Macbeth.
for a while
Macbeth,
after that.
Caesar, all of Ides of March. Let's go. Why not?
Heidi, you have a question?
No, I just wanted to hear everyone's theme for the year since it's sort of New Year. What do you think will be? I wanted to hear everyone's perspective. What's our theme for the year? You know, last year it was all about AI. And what do you think the theme for this year will be? Wanted to hear
Let's
everyone's
call
input.
name by name. Heidi, what is your theme?
Yeah, I'll go with, I think I'm gonna go with robotics. Yeah,
That's what she said.
That's a
robotics.
good one.
That's what she said. What about you, Blind Broker? What do you think?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. I just live in I'm still sticking with the Bitcoin. I just think, you know, with Trump saying he's the Bitcoin president, that's what I'm watching is
Right.
I just think Bitcoin and you know, just the new possibilities of what that means for finance and for countries and for our financial system. It's pretty exciting actually to see.
It is definitely.
Tracker?
Yeah, I'd say crypto, Bitcoin sort of leading the way, and then the altcoins coming behind, and then with artificial intelligence and also like energy, anything you need to uh, proportion, have a ledger for, we'll actually start to see some of the altcoins use cases come into play, and that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, and I want to
So
say
you
too,
know,
add to that, you made me think of something, Tracker. I mentioned that I think
yes,
energy, traditional energy, like XLE, is going to get a bid, and it's starting to get it. Like you're seeing OXY and XOM starting to move. I think there is going to be a move back to the traditional energy as well.
Traditional
Hmm.
oil. Yeah.
yeah, I could see that.
It's a great
Uh, they, they can
observation. Yeah,
certainly
with Trump
they can
especially.
they can fire up those shale wells so quickly. They don't need to like go out into the ocean necessarily and build a big expensive slow rig. They can just drill anywhere sideways from in any basin they want. Basically, there's plenty of shale oil to be gotten all over the U.S. and U.S. territories now.
Awesome.
I agree.
Awesome.
We're going to need more energy for all the new production that we're going to be rehoming to North America.
Yeah, I think batteries as well. That would definitely be a close second. Battery energy storage.
What about
And with a look at,
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying, with a look homeward bound, then we're also looking at rebuilding, or building new types of infrastructure that we haven't had before.
Mhm.
What about you, the Soso Matsby? What is your theme?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Kat, because I just got a chart for you right here, and the chart for you is XRP. It's going to be the year of XRP specifically. So
Yes.
I don't care about your Bitcoin or anything. I care about this coin, and this coin's it's gonna go to a minimum $8, maybe even up to the $13 up here. And look, it's basically doing what Tesla is doing too. You know, it's kind of like building a base where the previous all-time high used to be as well. So it's very, very bullish. The 886, that's what Tesla's doing. The 886 as well. So this is the year of XRP.
I like it.
I do
Yeah.
too.
I do love how.
I'm backing Matt on that one.
Good.
So you're a fan of XRP too, IBB?
I have been in XRP, so
I own it as well,
I
just
did
small
not
amounts,
buy
but
the
I own it.
0.45 or the 0.2. I'm not there. I'm like 1.5-ish probably.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for the whole year of 2024, I was talking about once it breaks this arc right here, once it breaks it, it's gonna fly. And what do you know? It broke it and it flew. So I think it's still got a lot of left in the tank. I think it's going to $8 minimum, maybe 9. Yeah. So it's the year of XRP, especially with Brad Garlinghouse just meeting with Trump tonight. They just had dinner together.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
it's gonna be the year of XRP.
Right. I hope they had steak and lobster thermidor.
Yeah, maybe.
Awesome.
Now I just want steak and
Making
lobster.
Kat, what about you? We haven't heard your
Oh,
theory.
my theory is I have a hard time picking a sector. There are a few things I'm looking at. I actually think like at some point early in the year, GME is gonna like go up like crazy. I just see something that's just building a lot of momentum. So I'm allocating some money into it. And if GME goes crazy, I think it's going to be like a pretty big meme season. I think Doge is going to do well. And I think a lot of the like speculative stuff that has been kind of docked down can go up, and this can confuse a lot of people because I do see a possibility of like the index is actually not doing very well for a period of time. So it's going to be very confusing for a lot of folks. I'm also bullish on fintech, like SoFi Firm, Robinhood. A lot of things just keep showing momentum. There's not really any reason to think that they're going to stop anytime soon. So, yeah, that's me.
Speaking of which, did you see GME looks like it's about to take off?
I think so. I mean, it looks like it's about to take off for like weeks now. It's just kind of slowly.
I know, but no.
Yeah.
Matt, throw up my chart real quick.
Yeah. And then that's going to be the last chart that we're going to show.
That's fine. But look here from that recent high of the 34.37 back to $30.42. And look what it did. It came right up to the 78.6 and then kind of came back a little bit. This is a daily chart. Let me go back to 8-hour chart. And then came back down to the Ichimoku conversion line. And then it broke over. And my number's over here now. And broke over. Look, it's ready. And it did a back test. One more grab for liquidity. Maybe it's done. It went to this 50% line. I think it's ready to break out again. So let's look for, $36 next. Maybe, about 36 to 38 next. Yeah. And then, can build a base and then keep going. And, my crazy charts, my GME chart, I'm looking for $71. It'll be the wave one. It's the
wave one.
The wave 3 sub 1 top.
Stop it.
71.09 back to 44, 115.
You make me blush.
Like, look at this, 98% in the MCDX plus. So they're all weekly candles. Just buy. GME. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think things are building a lot of momentum. There are a few things too. I also think that Doge is very similar boat. So that's kind of my thesis. It's not really a thesis; it's more like a momentum building up kind of thing.
The year of memes, then. Yes.
Yeah, the year of memes. You can say that. Some people get upset and call it GME meme, but I mean,
it is what it is. People call Tesla and Palantir memes too. So
yeah. I mean, also things.
How crazy is that?
I also think Palantir is going to do very well. I mean, but again, a lot of people are calling for lower. I think it could go down lower before it goes higher. Entirely possible, but I don't think it's a top. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Well, and meme or not, you trade price. Somebody, made this comment that they were disheartened when I compared MSTR to SMCI. I mean, SMCI, when that ran from $100 to $1,200, it made my life. Like, I'm that much closer to retirement thanks to SMCI. And then it, dropped almost that same amount. You just have to remember, stocks are volatile. You've got to know where the supports are. You've got to know when supports are broken. Same thing with meme stocks. I mean, when GME was running, those few years back, that was fantastic, but you had to know when to get out. And that is the case. Meme stock, traditional stock, dividend stocks, it doesn't matter. When supports start breaking, it is time to get out. So I'm just saying that I don't think MSTR is a bad investment, or else I wouldn't be in it. I am really deep in MSTR. So I'm hoping, looking for it to run with Bitcoin, but you just have to know there's volatility. When a stock drops from 540 to 285, that is a volatile stock. So meme, regular, whatever, just know what you are trading and how it trades. That's the important message. Know how the stock that you're holding trades.
Yeah.
Those are excellent points.
Yeah, I have no doubt at some point like MSTR is going to have like a huge crash, and this is coming from like somebody who's generally leaning more bullish. It's a volatile stock. They go through cycles. I don't care whether or not they hold the most Bitcoin ever. Like these things go through cycles. So I agree.
But it's not going to be until Bitcoin tops out.
Right.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you guys for
Thank you
having
for having
me.
Yes.
Thanks for
I
the
mean, I wish we could do
invite.
this every week. It would be way more enjoyable.
Yeah, and
Well,
we actually control the time pretty well too. I think we're gonna be okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Yay.
you. Always enjoy coming on. So happy this worked out, and happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Same.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bond Broker. We love
Thank you
having
guys
you.
for listening.
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. Take care.
Bye.
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 Good night, everybody. We'll see you around in the funny pages.